you check the children. Show a little mad sometimes.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Sometimes. That is what
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird.
And I'm Davey Deathray.
And we are here to review the brand new movie by the Philippou brothers from Australia. The guys behind Talk to Me. Their new film is called Bring Her Back. And that is what we're here to discuss today. We've done a couple of trailer reactions on the channel. I think I did them mostly with Robert. I don't think you were on those this time, right?
I think I missed those.
It's okay. It's okay. Hopefully, we're going to have Davey on the channel more and more and more. That is the goal of mine. So, you guys, if you enjoy seeing Davey on the channel, put it in the description box down below. While you're down there, if you like watching reviews with clips of the movie, in every review that I do now, for the last 6 months, I've been putting the link to the trailer in the description box below. So you can pull up that window and have it going. If you'd rather watch clips of the movie, do it over there. We just don't like dealing with the copyright issues here. So we do it podcast format. But we're here to talk about Bring Her Back, the sophomore effort of the Philippou brothers. Personally, I loved Talk to Me, and so I was very, very excited about this one. The trailers did not give away very much, but what I did know is that it was clearly not the gimmick horror that Talk to Me clearly was, and so I was excited. However, doing the beginning of all of our reviews, we talk about our overall thoughts, and my overall thoughts on this one were, it's good. It's not great. This is something that is way more A24 than Talk to Me was. Both were made under the A24 banner. This is a way more A24 feeling film than Talk to Me was. And I will just say that the conceit is something that we've seen before. The central dynamic is something that we've seen before in a few other movies. And it's not one that I am particularly interested in. And I was hoping that the Philippou brothers would be able to elevate it, and they did to an extent. They threw something from something else entirely, seemingly, into this movie, and it kind of mixed up the formula a bit, but it wasn't enough to make me care that much, and I didn't feel as satisfied at the end of this as I did at the end of Talk to Me. So, I mean, I don't want to say that I didn't like the movie because it wasn't Talk to Me, because that's not the point. My point in comparing is that I was jazzed at the end of Talk to Me. I was satisfied. I was excited about what I just saw. Unfortunately, none of that happened here. I'm very much more plateaued at it was okay. How about you, Davey?
Yeah, I think that, I mean, with this one, it's so funny, hearing you talk, I'm like, you sound like me. Being
That's why we work so well together!
I'm like, oh, Cecil's usually so positive, and I'm usually the one that's like, oh, it's just okay. Yeah, I think that fine is a great description of this movie. I think we're on the same page with this one for the most part. I really enjoyed Talk to Me, and real talk, guys. If you're watching this review right now, I just watched Talk to Me for the first time 2.5 weeks ago.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I thought it was incredible. I just, there's ambiguity there. There's some questions, but they give you enough of the breadcrumbs to sort of be able to do some of the thinking yourself. And I think in this one, there wasn't enough of that. And but I do appreciate the fact that they didn't try to just copy Talk to Me. And, granted, we're going to see a sequel to that film, but with their second movie, they didn't just try to do the same thing. So I'm the kind of person, I will give somebody, ambition points for trying something different, and I'm always going to like that part of it. But, yeah, I mean, this movie, overall thoughts, I think it was, just a little bit of a step down, but still a well-made film.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a good way to put it. Yeah. It is definitely a well-made film, and we'll get into all of the reasons why. But yeah, it's and I hesitate to say step down because I guarantee there's going to be a contingent of viewers that probably like this more than Talk to Me.
Okay.
There's a particular A24 crowd that tends to like the more up in the air films.
Yeah, we're a tribal people, the humans.
Yeah. And I will say that the easiest way to explain this movie, or the thing that was jumping out at me to describe this movie, having walked out of it right away, was the movie is very amorphous. That's the way I said it, and I stick to that, where the structure isn't exactly rigid. Like, the structure isn't something we've seen before. You can't necessarily guess where this movie is going to go, right? I couldn't guess where it was going to go, but I didn't care that much, and therein lied the problem. It's unique enough that I couldn't guess what was going to happen next. There were enough cool horror elements that I was engaged throughout, but I wasn't interested necessarily. I was engaged but not overly interested.
I think that's pretty fair.
You know what I mean? And there was one element, and I'm going to leave it to you because I don't want to steal your thunder. I think your description really is apropos for the one element of the movie that felt like it was from a different movie altogether, that I think elevated this one. And it was the one element that was different than the thing we've seen before in this movie, the central conceit about a woman that is a particular way. And the thing that you explain, the thing that you said, I think is the most apt. Do you know what I'm referring to?
Are you talking about the Demi and Rugna thing?
Yes.
Okay. So, there is some imagery here, particularly, the makeup, I would say, on one of the characters that it reminded me, like, I think more people know When Evil Lurks. It actually reminded me more of Terrified. There's similar makeup there as well.
Both incredible Argentinian horror movies by is he a writer-director or just director?
He is,
Writer-director Damian Rugna. Both of those movies are I think those are two of the top 10, maybe top 5 horror movies of the last decade. So good. He is so talented. I mean, so please continue.
The Evil Dead is my favorite horror franchise, and I think When Evil Lurks is way better than Evil Dead Rise. It came out the same year, so I'll just like kind of compare. Because when I saw When Evil Lurks, I know this is a total aside, I was like, this is like if Kristopher Nolan made an Evil Dead film.
That's interesting.
Like Evil Dead in the real world, so we're still going to mention that like religion has been there but gone.
I think When Evil Lurks was my favorite of that year.
Oh, it's absolutely incredible. So there was an element in Bring Her Back that kind of gave me those vibes, but it was such an like ancillary sort of in the background kind of
until the third act. So that's the thing. This movie is like it's as if the Conjuring people took one element from a Damian Rugna movie and wove it throughout the film. So it's interesting in that way. But again, I think the problem came in the fact that I didn't really care that much about what was going on. I was just watching and waiting to see what the resolution was going to end up being.
Yeah, and usually I'm the one that complains about runtime. I thought the runtime was fine on this one.
Yeah, it was 140.
But I did want more of just give me a bit more lore, something more to like bite onto.
Agreed.
No pun intended.
Not to spoil that there's biting in this movie, but there might be some biting in this movie.
Possibly.
Yes.
But I just felt like I'm the kind of guy that loves some mystery, and I think that the audience should sort of maybe not meet the filmmakers halfway, but like do some of the thinking themselves. And this movie, like just a little bit more would have been nice.
Yeah. A little more meat to chew on for the audience, I think, would have been beneficial.
Like it's like you have a knob that says focus, just turn it a little to the right.
Yeah.
Like, let's focus a little bit more. Let's give the audience like a little more breadcrumbs, and there's still going to be enough. Like it's still going to leave them with that feeling where they are thinking about it when they leave the theater.
And it's funny, you know. We talk to people after the films that we see, especially these press screenings, and it seemed like the consensus was. You know, that's kind of what it seemed like. But okay, so continuing along the way, so story wise we were a bit underwhelmed. The long and short of the story is two siblings. You know, there's a 17-year-old boy who's on the brink of turning 18, and he has a sister who is very visually impaired, basically blind, but she sees shapes and lights, and that's all. Something happens to their father, and they have to go to foster care. And there's a particular woman that brings them in to take care of them. she's clearly more interested in the girl than the boy because she doesn't want to deal with anyone that's a troublemaker, and the boy has something that happened in the past that she considers trouble. And slowly but surely we start to realize that things aren't necessarily what they seem in this household. Again, we're keeping this spoiler free, but that's the long and short of the story. And unfortunately, it's nothing we haven't seen before in your movies like Ma and, you know, things like that. You know, where there's more to the host than meets the eye, and you know that out the gate. You know, it's not spoilery to say that, but that's the central conceit of the film, and it's how do people find out, what's the extent, and what happens. It just wasn't that interesting for me story-wise.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you there. It's almost something that would be, if you put it in like an anthology, it would be like a fun little vignette to experience. But there is like some stretching without the breadcrumbs on the more like ambiguous side of the story. So ambiguity can be great, but if there's not just a little bit there, and I think that's sort of like where the story falters.
Well, there is a teensy bit of ambiguity. There's something about a character that's never really explained exactly what's going on. You're left to assume, kind of, based on context clues and, you know, eye color and shit.
but what I mean by that, though, is like, I'm cool with the ambiguity. They just don't give us enough to like keep it together.
Fair.
So it just sort of seems like this is it's ambiguous just for
the sake of being ambiguous, as opposed to serving the story.
The story, and
fair.
that's where I feel like the story just didn't have enough going on to
I agree,
back it all up.
Now let's give credit where credit's due, and that I think is the acting deserves the credit here. You start on this one.
The acting is fucking awesome in this movie. Like, it's really damn good. I love that these guys, between the two movies they've done, you know, no-name actors, at least, you know, where we're at, or for big movies and all that, like relatively young actors too that are playing pretty close to their age, I'd imagine. And very extremely talented. Like, between Talk to Me and Bring Her Back, and the woman that plays the foster mom, she's really good. Like, there's not, no one's phoning it in here. Like, you're getting very believable performances. So that was one of the things, I felt like the two things that stood out to me were the visual effects and the acting. Yeah. And I think the movie can hang their hat on that. It looks good, and we'll talk about all that.
I think cinematography works there too.
Yeah. I thought the acting was one of the more, if I ranked it from exceptional to less exceptional, acting would be probably at the tippy top for me.
That's fair. And the little boy, you know, for what he had to do was great.
Yeah.
Really, really great. So okay, yeah, we're on board for the acting. Let's talk about the production itself, the production value, the set design, and the cinematography. So set design wise, I think it was great. You know, it's a one location film, essentially, a house that has, you know, a perimeter painted around it. Yeah. And you don't know exactly why, but that's, you know, part of the plot as it plays out. But the house itself, you know, they did a really good job of making it feel like a lived-in home. Not only that, but the rooms that were used were set up very particular ways. You know, to emphasize the story. So I feel like the production design did a really great job of trying to serve the story, even though unfortunately the story wasn't as interesting as I was hoping it was going to be. That I can't fault the production design for that. Yeah. Production design was on point, and cinematography I thought was also on point. There was they did a really good job of putting angles in that made you really uncomfortable. You don't like something that, you know, happens. I won't say exactly what, but there was a lot of really close-up angles to help make that really jarring and nasty. So I think they did a really good job of utilizing the cinematography to help tell the story and deliver the scares, and or the unnerving moments. I would say it's more unnerving than scary, this movie.
Yeah, it's really interesting too, because it's almost like you can never. It's tough to predict when those moments are going to come. Right. But man, it goes from like 0 to 10 almost immediately. So kudos, to exactly what Cecil's saying. The camera angles, just the way they shot them, the way you see everything. And I do think there was some really great you know, there's a lot of rain in this movie. I thought that was shot really well.
I'm so jealous. I love the rain so much.
I grew up where it rained 300 days out of the year, or you know. So
dude, I'm so jealous of you. I can't even tell you.
I
grew up here.
Yeah.
Where like we're lucky if it squirts some water like 3 days a year.
Yeah, like 2 months out of the year you can count on a little bit of it. Whereas
can you?
You can.
Like not really.
July, August, maybe.
We'll see. Last year it was pretty bone dry, but all right.
But so in this movie there are those like I've grown up in those stretches where you don't see the sun for like 6 days.
Fair.
And I felt like there were moments in this movie where
sounds like paradise.
They captured that really well. I think it helped with the isolation. I think there were some really beautiful landscape shots that were very nice. I think that's like something I really dig in horror. There's the whole theme. There's the circular thing is sort of like a thing.
Yeah.
Which is another little nice attention to detail.
That's true. The circular pattern
it's
was
used
a thing.
in numerous ways, and so it's cool that they had that theme that I don't know how it connects with the story.
That's the thing. There was a lot left unexplained. Yeah.
See, it's like poetry. It's like it rhymes.
But you don't know what it means. Yeah.
So that's my weak George Lucas imitation.
I guess.
Sorry, guys.
Fair enough. You need to be more up here.
Yeah, probably. A little more Kermit the Frog.
yeah, exactly. So, okay. Sound design, I think, was a really... I think that's something worth talking about in this film. Score-wise, I can't really say anything stood out to me. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But sound design, I think, really did. And especially it was almost... It was like close to The Grudge as far as what the bad guy would do, or what the entity or the bad thing, right? It'd be a lot of like, that kind of thing.
Okay.
But it was used very creepily and very well done. Like, because that's the thing, The Grudge, she would be like,
yes. Oh, totally.
and so there's a flavor of that in here that I think went a long way to making it scary because they utilized that sound in a spatial way.
Yeah.
And so like I feel like that's what I'm saying. That's when I notice things like that, I have to compliment the sound design because that is all sound design.
Yeah, and I think sound design helps sell those like brutal things that make you feel uncomfortable.
All the squelching,
just and all the all the friction, like everything that you're really like sound design I thought was really good here, and I think that even. Like, I mean, I don't think it would be spoilery to say this, but the entity is not the only thing that you might necessarily be scared of in the film. So I think anytime you're hearing anyone or any of one of these characters like scuttering about, you're sort of like, okay, what's going to happen? And the sound design certainly sells that for sure. But man, especially some of the brutal moments here. Holy cow! I'm gonna get lost in a spiral here.
Yeah. Well, the sound design of those moments was aggressive. Yeah. All right. So let's wrap it up talking about the effects. Right. So there was a lot of them, and I enjoyed the amount of practical effects that were there. Yeah. There was a lot of makeup appliances and like facial appliances and things that really sold the brutalness of certain things. So there wasn't that much CG that I can remember. It might have been used to augment, but for the most part, it was mostly practical that I can recall.
Everything looked on camera. It was. Yeah, to me, if they did anything digitally, maybe changing the color, like you're saying. But I don't like. To me, this looked legit.
Yeah, and it definitely sold the moments.
Yeah,
for sure, it sold the moments. Yeah. So there you go, guys. I mean, that's our thoughts on Bring Her Back. That's why we kind of, if we were going to rate it, I would do maybe we were on pretty much the same page here, 3 out of 5, right?
Yeah, 3 out of 5 I think is pretty fair.
I'll bet some people will give it a 4 out of 5. I don't think anyone will necessarily call this perfect, but it was just kind of middle of the road for us. It was very competently made, but the detractor is the story is just not that engaging. You just don't care that much.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter how well a movie is made if you just don't care about it that much. You know what I mean? There's only so excited you can get. And I noticed myself halfway through the movie going like, man, I really wanted to like this more than I am. It's a bummer. I really wanted to like this more than I'm enjoying this right now. So
yeah, I was really looking forward to it as well. And sometimes it's just like, it's okay that it's just a good movie. You know, like not every movie needs to like blow us away. I still believe in these guys.
I still believe.
I do. Like, I think, you know, man, if your sophomore effort is going to be less gimmicky and also just a bit of a quality dip, you know, it's like you tried something different, like, and you didn't fail. Like, it just could have been better, you know? So, yeah, I think 3 out of 5 is like, if you're a horror nut, like, yeah, go and check this out. But if you're somebody that's just kind of especially if you're on Talk to Me, then maybe not. I don't know.
If you're one of those snooty A24 fans, you'll enjoy this one. It's just I'm more of a common person movie enjoyer when it comes to
Wait,
A24
but Cecil,
stuff.
I thought that if I don't understand something, I should say it's brilliant and everyone will think I'm smart.
Well,
right?
You could certainly do that.
Because I don't want them to know I'm dumb.
No.
Like, I'm dumb. I just don't want them to know I'm dumb.
This movie's brilliant. And if you don't understand it, you're not a horror fan. Oh, the words we love to hear. All right, guys. I think that's going to do it for our thoughts on Bring Her Back. Let us know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching, especially if you've made it all the way to this point. Thank you to all of our patrons for supporting the channel the way that you do. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you to Davey Deathray for joining me once again. I'll make sure and put that link to his channel in the description box down below. If you haven't subscribed to him yet, what the hell are you doing? But that's going to do it, you guys. Thanks very much for watching. Until next time, I've been Cecil Laird.
And I've been Davey Deathray.
And remember,
Stay scared.